Welcome to this short lesson on LodeStar look and feel. In order for me to demonstrate how one can control look and feel, I'll just bring up a project. This project is learner experience design. It's really a student portfolio, but I've added some other things in just to demonstrate various concepts. So when one first creates a project and previews it, you get a very default plain look and feel. So we have a default layout, a default theme, a default design style, and no background. So what do we get? We get something, with an opaque bluish header, navigation's on top. In this particular project, we have another design element which is outside of the scope of this lesson, but something worth mentioning. We have these icons, and these icons are all created using LodeStar's SVG editor, and then attached to the icon is a branch option, which simply takes you to a different section of this particular portfolio. As I said, this is outside of the scope, but it's fairly easy to do. You can create your own design elements, put them on a layer, and then layer that on a page, and it all works great. What we will be covering in this lesson are layouts, themes, palettes, design styles, and backgrounds. So let's start with layout. We have a default layout right now. We can see that here. Let's just change the layout to a case study. In the case study layout, our resource appear here on the right. So one may be working through a case, working through a problem, making decisions, and you can consult a resource, but stay where you are in the case. Now, you'll notice that the header is the same. It's just that the layout has changed, and so we can see all of our resources arrayed here on the right. In order to demonstrate another type of layout, let me turn on this page. It was hidden before, and I'll just make that the first page, and I'll change the layout to a free fall layout. In the free fall layout, you can see this. We don't have a framework here. We don't have like this header, body, and footer. What we have is a free-flowing page. We still have our navigation, so we can still move from page to page. It's just that things look a little different now. We can also add, we could add activity widgets. We have a whole variety of widgets that we could add to the free-flowing page. Let me revert back to our default. When we do that, any background graphic that we have for our HTML background gets wiped out. The next thing we're going to do is control themes. Remember that opaque header? Well, we're going to deal with that in a second. But first of all, here's our HTML background color. Let's just make that black. Our resource, so those resources, we can make those an orange to match our icons. We can make our inner background color slightly transparent, so kind of a bleed through here. I'm going to change the opacity to, let's say, 74%. That's not going to be evident to us unless It won't be evident to us unless we add a background image. So let's go ahead into our layouts and add a background image so that it's going to be a little, so things are a little more evident. So as you can see here, well, we need to place this, uh, we need to get this out of the flow, hide this particular page. But you can see that this bleeds through a little bit through the background. This is still opaque, and these colors have changed. The next thing that I'd like to do is go back into themes, and let's deal with that header now. Let's make this header transparent. We'll bring it down to about the 40–50% range. You can see what's happening right here. Let's see the effect. It's starting to look a little more stylish. You can see we have a bit of a bleed through right here. We've affected our transparency. Things just seem tied together a lot better. Our next control is with palettes. Now, palettes affect form-based pages. So, for example, multiple choice, question pages, not the widget, but the page itself, crossword pages, flashcards, so forth. So if we were to look at, just these are all chips in a palette. We can change the entire palette. We could do that and affect the color selection that way. Or we could change one of the chips. So this chip is often used for, tiles and background colors and so forth. So let's change this to an orangey, something a little more orange. And I'd like to also make that a little transparent. So there we go. Let's see the effect. So nothing's been affected here. We can see that we still have our header colors, our resource colors. But now if we look at a crossword page, for example, we can see that we changed it to an orange background but slightly transparent. We can see that evident here. Here's a flashcard page, and you can see the effect here on the distractors of a multiple choice question page. So the palettes are these internal colors, and you have complete control over them. You can choose from an existing palette, or you can simply modify, click on a chip, and then change its color. And to learn what chip matches what part of the user interface, just hold your cursor steady and a tooltip will tell you. And you can experiment. Next are design styles. And for me to kind of really show you how a design style works, I'm going to go back to themes. And just for a minute, I'll I'll disable. I'll remove this particular background image for our header. Okay. So I'm going to choose design styles. Now, there are local design styles, and sometimes, like for example, Art Deco, you might, now I've already downloaded Art Deco, but if it weren't downloaded, you see a download button here, and then you would go ahead and apply that. But let's just use Art Deco as an example. I'll hit OK and see the effect. So here you can see we have this background. This is not your HTML background now. This is the wrapper for the project. It's all got this Art Deco design. You can see our kind of headers is semi-transparent, and so we're bleeding or looking right onto that wrapper background. Let me quickly change to another style. So we'll change to a Bauhaus style, and we'll have a different look and feel. But here with the Bauhaus, we have a different design pattern. And then we can see right here, it's a little busy because of the fact that this color is transparent. Maybe we'll change that. Let's go, and here's where we're not going to want a transparent color. So I'm going to go shoot for my default, just replace that. Because otherwise we really clashed. Our because we're able to see through to the wrapper background, the Bauhaus background for the form-based page was conflicting. I'll explain that again. So here now we've got an opaque background, but we do have a kind of a design. It's a Bauhaus design that is behind the form-based page. So here's a flashcard. Here's your multiple choice. So here we have a widget. You can see this is a background to a question widget. And that's all, we're getting that from the design style. If you don't like that, you could always, again, just go back to a default or a minimalistic style. So I'll go back to a default. The other thing you can do is override what the background tile is and the background image. So it's fairly easy to do. Now I'd like to kind of restore. I want to go back and kind of restore that header to the design banner. And we'll go to our last control, which corresponds to the backgrounds menu item. Now, in layouts, you had the ability of bringing in a background, which we did. But you can also, choose from a whole variety of backgrounds. These are all given to you. You have a license to use these backgrounds for LodeStar projects. You can see our backgrounds can be radically different. Here, I'll just choose this and give that a shot, see what that looks like. And as I said, that doesn't really fit in. I just wanted to show you an example of a background that you can use. let's I'll choose this Nelson Atkins Museum just because I find art museums so inspiring when it comes to design styles. And so now we have our background. We've got, so this was controlled by theme, by our header background. Theme also controlled the transparency. These are controlled by palettes. This particular type of, the borders and the thickness are all, these are also controlled by design styles. So we get a kind of a look and feel related to the design style that we chose. So that sums it up. The use of layouts and background images, themes, which allows us to control our background color, our resource color, our inner background color, as well as our header and footer. We saw palettes, how they control form-based pages and the color selection there. Design styles, which allows us to radically change the look and feel based on a specific style like Bauhaus or Art Deco or contemporary. And then we have a whole range of backgrounds from which to choose. And on the server side, we'll be expanding these backgrounds. This particular dialog will do a discovery of those. And then anything that's not downloaded will display a download button right here so that you can easily get it onto your hard drive and be able to make quick use of them. So that summarizes, that's the end of our lesson related to the look and feel of LodeStar. I hope you'll find this of tremendous benefit. Thank you.